In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to convert your Bubble app into a PWA, a progressive web app. In the last tutorial, I showed you how to do it manually, but if you want to save some time and work in this tutorial, I want to show you how to do this using our plugin, the PWA plugin available in the Bubble plugin store. The setup will be a bit different, but the plugin takes most of the workload, so all you have to do basically is upload the assets. But what I also want to show you is we're going to convert our app into a PWA, and I want to show you how to the best practices that to follow when building a progressive web app using custom states to kind of create a one-page application. So what I have here right now is my page here in my Bubble editor, and I called it PWA demo 2. And what is important to note is that if you're building something like a progressive web app or even a native app, navigating between different pages will cause problems and will not be really user-friendly, and it will also lead to things being slow in an app which users aren't used to. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have an application where you have individual listings of, I don't know, houses, okay? And you have like the list of houses, and then you have a button which says view listing or view house, and then you can, in your web app, in your normal application, user can click on it, and he will be brought to another page, and this page is called listing and is of type listing, and everything is great, and that works perfectly fine, no issues. In a progressive web app and native app, it is best to not use these kind of navigations. Rather, it's better to use a single page and then use custom states or something similar to kind of show and hide content, and this will have the big advantage that changing content, changing pages will be immediate because nothing has to be loaded, and it will just allow you to not have navigation, actual page navigation within your progressive web app or native app. So really what you want to do is create a single page here, for example in this case PWA demo, and then just work on this one page. So what we like to do is we kind of have our separate application or Bubble application, the web version, which has multiple pages, and then we kind of rebuild that again, really optimized for mobile use, and a separate page here, in this case PWA demo. Okay, so let's just assume that that this is now our application here, and as I mentioned, we're building a listings application. All right, so let's just go ahead to data, and I'm just going to create a new type and call it listing. So let's keep it really simple. That shouldn't be the point of this tutorial. Just listing, and it consists of a type which is the name. Okay, and that's it. Let's again really keep it really simple. And I'm just going to create a few listings. So let's call it house A. Let's get house B and house C. All right, so let's head back over to the editor, and what I first of all like to do is I like to check here, or actually let's decrease the width. So let's make it smaller because we want to focus on mobile views. This won't mean that it won't work on desktop devices. It will just stretch out, but it's better to directly design the mobile view if you're planning to use it as a mobile or app PWA anyway. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller here. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to have maybe an app bar here, a floating group, and we're going to create an app bar from that, a tab bar. So let's just have a floating group here, and this floating group, let's define it like this, okay? And let's call it menu, and let's say it should float relative to the bottom. And in the floating group, we have two icons. We have home and we have listings. Okay, so let's just have these two together, and let's center them horizontally. So like this, no. Align horizontal centers, no. How should we do that? Or we just have to group them and then center the group. All right, and this is our list. And we can just simply say, okay, all right, this floating group should have a custom state, and this custom state should be state. Okay, the state type should be text. Maybe the default state should be home. And when the list icon is pressed, we want to change the state of our menu to list. And if the home is pressed again, we want to change the state to home again. All right. So as you saw, just took a minute to build a simple tab bar here, just like in other applications. Obviously, you could add some conditionals to show different colors if a state is active, but I'm not going to do that. So next, I want to use a group here. I'm just going to add a group. And again, the point of this app, this tutorial shouldn't be the design or the application itself. So I'm going to keep it really, really simple. I'm going to call this home. Okay, and I want to add a condition. I want to say, all right, this element should not be visible on page load. It should be visible when menus, our menus state is home. All right, and then this should be visible, and we can just copy this statement. We can also copy this group, maybe hide it, paste it here, and the second group we'll call it list, and this should be visible when we have a list. Okay, so that already works now. You have basically two different pages, different groups, you could say, within this one page here, and we can now define the content here. So under home, let's just have a simple, I don't know, welcome or home icon. Welcome to our app. I don't know, welcome to this app. All right. And under list, let's have our list of list houses. So do a search for, or stuff type listing. Data source should be do a search for listing, and inside we just have the names of the listing. Okay. Obviously, you could have the image, price, or whatever you want to add. Okay. So that's basically it. Let's just quickly test how that works. I just want to add a maximum width here to these groups. Okay, and let's just click on preview. Okay, so as you can see, we're in the home screen right now. It's the home state because that's default. We can now click on the icon. We can switch. We have our three listings, house A and B and C, and we can switch back. As you can see, it's instant. We're not changing the page. We're on the same page, but we still have different pieces of content, you could say, within the same page. And you could obviously add much more icons and create much more groups, settings, and so on. So just to show you, this would be the best way to design your app if you want to build a progressive web app. Okay, so that's it regarding the app itself. So let's actually head to the progressive web app part. So what you will need is, as mentioned again, our progressive web app PWA plugin. You can get that in the plugin store. It's available. And after you install that, you first have to define the fields here in the plugin tab itself. So we have an app name, we have theme colors, and nav button colors. Okay, and where these colors are shown exactly, that depends a bit on what kind of phone is used and what operating system, obviously. But the app name should be obvious. It's the name of the app itself. The theme colors should be a general theme, and the navigation button colors, if it's allowed by the smartphone, by the operating system, you can define the navigation button colors, and make sure to use a hex code. So if you have some kind of color tool like me here, I can choose the color, and then you have to copy this hex code, which has this hashtag here at the beginning, and just copy the hex code here into the fields, as well as the app name. And you always have the choice to use different values for the development version of your application and then live version. So once you filled this out, let's head back to our page here. And what you want to do, you want to just simply search for the PWA element here and just drag it on the screen, and make sure that it's not within another group. It should be really placed on the page itself. So you can check that by going to select parent child, and you can see, well, it's just the page is the parent child. Okay. And the great thing about this plugin, it really takes all the handling, all the code generating. So once you add this to your page, all you have to do is fill out the information, and the plugin will generate all necessary code and information for you. So let's just scroll to the top and go through every field that you have to fill out. So the name, again, should be the same as the name we defined in the plugins tab. That's the name of our app. So let's call this listing app. Okay. The short name will basically be a shorter version of this name. If you have a really long app name here, and there's a place where there's no space for this, the short name will be used. Again, that will depend on the exact operating system and where the name is shown, but just make sure if you have a long app name here to maybe add a short name here. In our case, this is short enough, I would say, so let's just copy that here as well. Okay. Ooh. Color, that will be the theme color that we had before. Okay, so for the theme color you can set whatever you like, maybe your app brand color. Description will be just the description of the PWA, so the best listings app for real estate. Okay, the background color, and now bear with me, the background color will be the color that is used on the splash screen on Android devices. So quite specific, but in the next step we're going to upload the icon, and then what on Android phones will happen is the background color will be shown and the icon that you uploaded here will be appended on the background color, creating automatically a splash screen. For iOS it will be a bit different, as you will see in a second. Unfortunately it's much stricter, but Android will automatically generate the splash screen for you. So what you want to do, you want to set the background color of the splash screen and then upload icons. That will be the app icons first of all, so the icons displayed on the home screen if a user installs your PWA, and also in the case of Android it will be used for the splash screen. Make sure to upload images for all these different specifications, so 512 by 1212, and it should be PNG, 92 pixels by 192 and 128 by 128 pixels. I know tedious to generate these assets, but that's the only way to ensure that it's correctly displayed on all devices. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload my 512 version of the app icon. So that's my app icon here. Okay, I'm going to upload it. Okay, and at last, okay, and in my case, I'm actually going to set the background color to this color here of the app icon. Otherwise, there will be bad contrast between red and purple here. So let me just actually find out what this color is. I'm not quite sure. Okay, 5E. All right, let's just copy this color then. By the way, this is a great tool called Eyedropper Color Picker. So if you want to download it as well, it's available for free. So let me set the background color here to the same purple. All right. Okay, the start URL should be define which URL should the PWA load, and that's what I mentioned before. In our case, there will just be the URL here of this page, and I'm going to use the version, the test version, the development version of this application. So I'm going to just copy the URL here of this page. I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, so this should be the actual URL that is loaded. Okay. The scope is quite interesting. It defines basically the navigation scope of this application. So it restricts, as written there, what web pages can be viewed. And as of default, we use just the /, which means all pages in this PWA can be visited from our application. So everything within this URL, anticode plugins.bubbleapps.io, and then all subpages. So a user could potentially navigate within this. If you really want to restrict it to just this page, you could say, all right, the scope should be PWA demo 2, which will mean that a user will actually not be able to navigate out of this page without opening a separate browser again. Might be quite useful if you really want to restrict this, and this should be a separate app running. You definitely want to do this. You want to restrict the scope. Otherwise, if you don't have a way for the user to kind of navigate outside, if there's no link, you won't really need that, but I mean, that's up to you. All right, so the display style, that's quite interesting. That is the type of PWA experience, so you can read up on that if you want. You can just Google the different types. In general, I would definitely recommend standalone. Standalone is just, as the name implies, a standalone application that acts as and seems as a standalone application. There's a few others you can use. You can try them out to see the differences, but I would always go with standalone. What is important to note is that your progressive web app in this case really creates a separate instance of an application, in this case just the browser. But what I mean by that is that it's separate from your browser. So let me take an iPhone as an example. Yes, let's say you have your page opened on the bubble page opened in Safari and you're logged in. That doesn't mean you're logged in the PWA, because even though it's the same device, it's two different instances of the browser, and you just logged in the Safari version and not in your app version, which is actually quite nice because it really again separates the app experience from just the browser experience, and yeah, kind of creates its own environment. Okay. For the launch screen, you want to upload a launch screen for Apple. But before I'm going to go into too much detail, let's talk through that. So For Apple, Apple is quite strict regarding the launch screen. It will only correctly show the launch screen if you upload the correct dimensions for each device. Okay, and we added all device sizes that we found to this plugin here. So as you can see, this iPad and iPhone device sizes, which will mean if you have a launch splash screen, you have to create that image for using a graphics tool, and you have your launch screen. And then what you have to do, you have to unfortunately create various dimensions for all these different device sizes. Okay, there's various different ways you could do this. Obviously, first way would just be manual. You create different size splash screens for all of these different dimensions. You could use a tool like Canva. If you know Canva, it's an online tool and it just allows you to easily resize images that you created or graphics. That would be quite useful. You can do something similar, I think, in Sketch. Or you just search for an Apple splash screen generator and then use something like this, where you just upload here at the bottom an image, customize some options, and it will give you all the different image files you will need. But it doesn't, this is a bit old, this article, so it doesn't have the newer iPhone, so iPhone 12 and stuff is missing. So you might want to use this, but you will have to create the other dimensions yourself somehow. So I know, really tedious, but you have to upload splash screens for all different iOS formats if you want them to be displayed on iOS correctly. Okay, it's optional. You don't have to fill this out for the plugin to work. But again, if you want it to work on iOS devices, you have to do that. I'm just going to add a launch screen here. This is the default launch screen, so kind of it has no specific dimension requirements. So let's just upload that. Okay, so upload my launch screen here, and I'm gonna upload one launch screen for my iPhone 12 just to show you as a demo afterwards, which I already created. So I'm gonna go here, and you can see the dimensions here are 1284 by 2778. So this is actually wrong here. We have to go down 1284 by 2778. Here, this one is correct. So let's go back here. Let's search for this again. Upload the splash screen. All right, and now the splash screen should be correctly displayed on iPhone 12 Pro Max devices. Okay, that's the exact dimension here. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. Again, you would want to fill out all the splash screens here, but otherwise we're good to go, and the plugin takes care of the rest. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to my iPhone and going to do a screen recording without audio, but I'm just going to show you the functionality. So yeah, let's switch over to the phone screen. Okay, so we're now on the website on my iPhone. I'm going to click add to home screen. So I'm going to click share and then in German add to home screen. And as you can see, the app icon automatically changes to our icon, the purple one in the top left, and it's now installed basically as a progressive web app on my home screen, and the splash screen is shown now. And in the background, the page is loading and the splash screen is shown, and now it's done loading. And the page is shown as a full screen app. You can open the app again. It's actually its own application. And yeah, the splash screen is shown, so everything works perfect. So what I did here, I'm running Android Studio, and I'm running a simulator of a Pixel phone running an Android version. I'm not quite sure which one. But just to show you the difference or the similarity, I'm just going to open Google Chrome here. And as you can see, I already loaded here our page. So basically same thing as before. Let's just refresh that to show you our one-page application, and we can switch over through these different custom states. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here on these three dots, and I'm going to say, okay, all right, I want to add this to home screen, and it's going to load for a few seconds, and then it's going to ask you exactly, it's going to ask you what you want to call it. And automatically the default name is what we defined it, which was the app name we gave it. So that's inputted here. And you can see the app icon is working as well. So I'm going to click add now, add automatically. Okay. And it's now going to be added to our home screen. If we go here, I created one already before, but now it's here, listing app. As you can see, there's actually not enough space for listing app. So this is where the short version would come in handy. The short name version, you would just use listing maybe, for example, and then listing would be displayed here. So now let's open this app, and before opening, I can already tell you the splash screen will be different than on the iPhone, because for iOS devices we uploaded specific splash screens for each devices, and what's happening in Android, the app icon is used and it's put on the background color that we specified. The background color we specified was this purple color, and the app icon is just this app icon here, just purple with the app text in the middle. So let's click that. As you can see, background purple, app icon, and the name of the app is displayed. The splash screen is shown until the application is loaded, and same thing as before, we have this full screen application here. If we actually took a look here at the history, we have Chrome open, but we also have our own application with the app icon, so it works perfectly fine. And yeah, the rest is similar to the iOS version. So yeah, just want to show you that. See you for the next tutorial.